So now that Shaddolls have gotten their last support card, and we've gotten Dragoon and a new ban list, I figured it'd be time that we go over the Invoked Shaddoll list that I've been playing the past few months. I'm playing the Invoked Shaddoll list instead of the Invoked Dragma stuff for two reasons. One, I think the Shaddolls have a better grind game than the Dogmatica stuff does because they all recur each other. Wendy lets you get Beasts, which will let you draw cards while also getting more resources off of the discard. And Alistair is extremely loopable, so I don't think that cutting it off with a Icarus attack, basically, preventing you from using the extra deck is really worth it. The second reason is that shit's really fucking expensive and I don't want to pay for it. Don't make fun of me, please. Anyway, let's get right into the main deck. So, first off, we got 3 Alistair. Like, this shouldn't be a surprise. It's probably the best card in the deck. It's a starter. It's a 1-card negate on legs. If you draw into a clown, it's also a Dragoon. So it's really, really good. Triple Nibiru as the only hand trap in the deck. I wanted a hand trap that, I wanted to have something in the main deck that was low resource and also very impactful. So I decided that for my one hand trap, I wanted Nibiru because the entire format is just full of combo. Like, you got dragons, you got noble knights, you got maybe Adamantipator, depending. But the 3 big ones are those, and this is the one that's the most impactful without having to get into, like, running multiple cards. If you draw this, it's more than likely your opponent has to respect it, which means that to play suboptimally, to play around it, or they don't play around it and you can just auto-win. Secondly, it's also a light, so you can make Construct, or you can make Wind, or not Window, you can make Mechaba with it. The only problem with it is that it doesn't leave a extra deck monster on the field for Shaddoll Fusion, but that's pretty good when considering you're just nuking your opponent's board and giving a big Chunga token. For the clowns, 1 Trick Clown, 1 Damage Juggler. I actually cut down on the clowns. I figured that if I wanted to make room for Dragoon, I had to cut down somewhere. What I ended up doing was cutting Trick Clown from 2 to 1 because it wasn't really the best draw in the world. It's only really here for when you want to resolve Shaddoll Fusion. And you want to play the Damage Juggler over the second Trick Clown because you can Foolish Burial this to search the clown, meaning you don't have to revive it with its effect to get a light on board. So you can use it as another resource to summon Dragoon and a combo. So it's pretty nice. It's still... I don't think the going into the Incarnation combo is the best win condition for this deck. I think more or less a resource deck using Winda as a utility is probably the best way to do it. If you can do turn 1 Winda, you're probably in a pretty okay position. Because if you're doing Winda, you're more or less likely to have either Schism, or you can have Eldol Fusion as a recovery play, or if you draw Alistair, you can also get Caliga, and you'll usually have a face-down Beast with Wendy, depending on what monster you used. Speaking of Shaddoll monsters, Wendy. It's the second best one in the archetype. If you draw this or Squamata, you can go full combo with the Construct, as long as you have the other pieces, of course. So yeah, this is the one you want to see the second most, other than Squamata, obviously. 1 Aerial for the combo. Like, I don't really need to explain this. If you draw into it, this is probably the biggest, like, well, it's not really a Garnet, but it's a big attack and Tomborg in the deck. Because, like, this is the one Shaddoll monster you absolutely want to avoid, like the fucking plague. You don't ever want to draw this because it's really, really awkward to set it and then flip it off of Incarnation without getting... Because that means you have to put Construct in the grave some other way. Because you can't add back... because you can't set it off of anything. So it's really awkward. And then for the rest, you got 3 Squamata. Like, this is the best one in the deck. Like, I shouldn't really need to explain this. Oh, my bad. I got a Hedgehog mixed in there. There's the other Squamata. My bad. I had to record this a few times, and then some cards actually got slipped in. For the other 2 big Shaddoll monsters, I keep going back and forth on both of these. I keep wanting to put either Beast to 3 or Hedgehog to 3, because they're both very good in their own respective kingdoms. For Hedgehog, an example, it's in theory an okay Hedgehog or Shaddoll monster to draw when you're making Construct, because, like, now that we have Schism, it's not nearly as bad to draw. Because you can just dump, instead of dumping, like, Wendy Incarnation, you can just dump Schism and then recur cards. But this is also really shines when you have Alistair on the field and you have this in hand. So you fuse, pitch this, search Invocation, searching Beast, fuse again, pitch Beast, draw a card, and summon a monster. It's really good for managing resources. Beast, though, is the one you're summoning off of Wendy the most. You don't really need any of the flip effects of the other ones, because if you're flipping Hedgehog to get a search of a spell, it's already way too late. But Beast can actually get some resources going during your opponent's turn. So like if you pitch a Squamata, you can get another card. If you pitch Wendy, you can get another monster on board. You can pitch Ariel, you get maybe some interruption by banishing some cards in the graveyard. And Hedgehog gets you another card, of course. Or you can pitch Dragon, which is also a pop on your opponent's turn. This feels bad, because this is the only Shaddoll monster that doesn't come shiny, and that makes me sad. Anyway, you play one of it, because, like, you don't really need two. Like, the mirror match isn't common enough, air quotes, mirror match, because they're not maining any Shaddoll monsters, except maybe Dragon, but, like, yeah, no, they're not really maining any Shaddoll monsters. But it's okay in the mirror, and that's pretty much it. It's an easy side out. The Garnets for Dragoon, like, nothing really to explain here. I mean, maybe I can explain why I picked this artwork over any other ones. This one, they were both cheap, that's why. For the spells, 3 Meltdown, 1 Terraforming. Like I said earlier, Alistair is like the best card in your deck, so you want to get to it as soon as possible. It's like amazing setup play. 1 Foolish, this is literally Rhoda, or it's a pop of a spell trap. It's an upstart if you need it. It's just a teleport if you want it to. It can do all the things in your deck. You'd play 4 of this if you could. For the fusion spells, 3 Doll Fusion. Like, this card's been broken for 6 years. Like, you can't really beat this card in terms of starters going second. Like, this card on its own is Dragoon, Apcalone, Mechaba, and then a set Schism that'll get you to Winda. Like, just off of your opponent having an extra deck monster. This card's insane, but this always gets ashed. Like, this and Alistair just always get ashed. This is, like, in theory, the worst one if you're going first, because at least Eldol Fusion is a quick play spell, and Invocation is searchable. So there's that, but, like, you've got to play 3 of this, man. It's just super duper important. There's, like, it's so good. 3 Eldol Fusion. Hot take. I think this is the worst fusion spell in the deck. The reason I say that is because it's effectively the 3rd copy has been replaced by Schism. This is no longer your summon window on your opponent's turn button. Schism does that job so much better. It's a trap, which means it's more chainable, it outs cards, and it stays on the board so you can use it more than once. Like, this is neat, but it's really the only time you ever see yourself using this is either if you draw this turn 1 and you make construct with it, or you dump it off construct and then add it back so you can do the full combo. Like, it's just another Doll Fusion turn 1. Like, it just does not matter. But you still play it. And then there's, of course, the one situation where, like, if your opponent's trying to Valor or Imperm your Alistair, you can chain this, get it off the board, and then you'll resolve Searching Invocation. Then you can slap down Winda, and then you'll slap down Invocation, Summoning, Caliga, and then, of course, that's pretty good. But that's a very rare situation and kind of situational, so, like, but that's, like, the one thing it has over Doll Fusion turn 1. Triple Invocation, Alistair Link is just stupid broken. And I didn't know until just recently that it triggers on your opponent's cards. I did not know that you could let your opponent summon Winda and then just search her out to Winda, which is really spicy because you can just slap Alistair out of the graveyard, summon Mechaba Purgatrio, and just mollywop them. I still think it's important to run at 3. You could arguably run it at 2, but I've always found that I've always wanted a 3rd some way. Either just hard draw it, or just use it as a poly, and then just go crazy. This is probably the weirdest ratio I have in the deck, is the 2 Red Ice Fusion. I see everyone saying that you should run 1, because it's the worst one to draw, and if you draw it, you basically are either summoning Dragoon, or you're not summoning Dragoon. But that's the problem, though, is that if you draw 1 copy, I take this out, so you're running 1 copy. If you draw this, you are not summoning Dragoon off Airtight, which is really, really bad for the combo. Dragoon is like your boss monster. It's the thing that's hardest to kill other than Winda, but Winda is so easily outed by, like, Pancratops, or in the mirror you just summon Construct, or just Alistair, or anything, It's super glass cannon, and Dragoon is just like the one thing that if you end on, it will more than likely stick to the next turn, and then it'll just get some free burn damage. So I'm playing the second one. Fight me. Yeah, if you draw the 1, it's not terrible to draw if you draw 1, but you absolutely have to have 1 in deck for Verte, because it's super important that you get it as your follow-up play or as like a win more button. And if you get it on board, you're basically going to win, because, like, you know, Masterpiece in the extra deck that's summonable with 2 monsters is totally fair. 1 Incarnation, like, you need this for the combo, and if you draw it, you know, it fucking sucks. And then my favorite card in the deck. I love this thing more than Alistair. I love this thing more than Resolving Doll Fusion, because the one thing I respect out of any deck is a deck that can continually recur to resources and keep its tempo without tons of resource gain or resource demand. So just having an Eldol Fusion that can out a card and summon Winda or Construct and then just keeps on the board, like, this is really good for tempo. It's really good for just establishing your board, and it's a better Eldol Fusion. Like, it's so good. Like, who would have known summoning a Vanity's Emptiness or a, what's it called, an Impermanence for free is just super good. For the extra deck, 2 Construct, like, you don't really need 3. If you need the third, you can just recur it with App Cologne. 1 App Cologne. I actually don't make this as much as you think you would with Schism on the board, because in theory, like, summoning an Impermanence for free off of Schism is great, because you can out a card and then negate a card. Like, that's great. But the only problem is that this isn't, like, on the same chain and negate something. Let me explain what that means. So, like, if your opponent activates Mystic Mine, you chain Schism, summon App Cologne. This won't negate Mystic Mine, because Mystic Mine will then resolve, or excuse me, the chain will resolve backwards. You'll summon this, Mystic Mine will resolve, and on a new chain, you in theory would activate this, but you can't because of Mystic Mine. There's not really anything in the game that you want to respond on a new chain. You can't do it to Hulk. You can't do it to, like, what's the other big one? You can't do it to Linkross. It's like, you can do it on weird stuff, like Border or Floodgates, if you could, like, but if you're under a Floodgate, like, let's be real here, you're not summoning App Cologne. This thing is really just what you're summoning if you draw really awkward and don't want to make, and you can't make Construct. So, like, if you draw, like, Beast Wendy, turn 1, you're not going to make Construct. You're going to make this, get Schism, and then just pass. 2 Winda, you don't need 3. 3 is just overkill. But I need to get the original Ultras. Like, the Supers look like fucking trash. And this artwork's especially stupid, because Pulau here just looks like an absolute dunce. It's horrible. That's it for the dolls. For the Invoked monsters, 1 Aeogides. I've gone over it in the past why this thing is insane. It's a secondary boss monster. Like, if you want to see me go into detail about this, check out the other deck profiles. Mechaba, obviously. Caliga. This is probably the most cuttable card in the, like, Fusion lineup, because, like, it's good if in very specific situations. It's great when you open poorly, because if you draw Alistair and, like, nothing else other than a doll, you can make this. And if you draw into, or if you can also make this into when you're doing the absolute nuts board, which is like Alistair and then either Doll Fusion resolving from deck, or you're drawing Doll Fusion with a Winda or a Wendy and a light monster. Preferably Damage Juggler, because you can go Dragoon be here, Verte, Mechaba, Caliga, and then Aeogides, and then you'd have the live Schism for the Wenda. Like, it's, like, this is great, and it's probably cuttable, but I'm not going to cut it because it comes up way too often. Purgatrio, this is what you're usually going to be ending games with, if not Dragoon. Especially against, like, the mirror, like, again, big air quotes, mirror. If your opponent summons Ecclesia, this punches right through it. You don't have to worry about damaged up shenanigans. I think the highest I've ever gotten this was, like, I think it was, like, 8,300, because, like, my opponent had a full board of, like, Floodgates, and he had, like, I think it was a set, like, Maluseek or something. And then I had triple Alistair in hand, so I just punched into it, and then it just won me the game instantly. It's funny as hell. I've probably told this story a million times, but when I was first picking up Invoked back in, like, full power Striker format, right? Like, Striker Trickstar was the best deck. Your opponent would flip, you'd summon this, you'd be like, oh man, I bricked. You'd summon this, you swing in for 23 damage, right? Your opponent flips, is like, okay, I'm a chum block with Scapegoat. I'm like, sick, dude. Swing and pierce for 23. What is that, like, 91 for game. Like, sick, dude. Thanks for that. Hey, guy gives me a big ass look. I was like, bro, did I seriously just do that? He's like, I just look at him like, yeah. So for the Invoked, the last fusion monster is the most broken card in this whole format, like Dragoon. I don't know why they thought giving any and every deck a masterpiece that's a negate, and it does burn damage and gets bigger. I don't know why they thought this thing was a good idea, but fuck it, dude. I can make it stupidly easy in this deck, and Verte has other reasons to be in. I was playing Verte anyway, so I might as well run it. Yo, by the way, shout out to Brian and Dylan. Me and the boys ended up going in on a case. We pulled nothing except for one Extravagance and double Dragoon. So this was my pull of that box. Excuse me, of that case. And then for links, Verte, obviously, like, this was already native to the deck anyway. You might as well still play it for Dragoon. Cross Sheep for the combo, and then these two for the making and Mechaba with Alistair. And then Alistair, the most literally broken deck, or like low-key broken card in the entire extra deck. It gives you all your monsters. It's the reason why this deck can do like stupidly crazy boards turn one. It's just absolutely nutty. What's this, an Alistair Engrave? Like, what the fuck? I can open garbage like, oh, I'm gonna make a construct with like an aerial, and I can still make like Verte Winda. It's insane. I don't usually go over this, but I figure that now that we have a new card in the side deck that's actually very important, I figured I'd go over the side deck. So I wanted to side more hand traps for Blinding Second against combo, because like I said, Nibiru is obviously the best hand trap against combo. That's why I'm not maining it over, that's why I'm maining it over Ash Blossom, because Ash just doesn't do enough. But you want to, but there's a lot of matches where you'd rather draw Ash, Nibiru, and other stuff, so you want to play these. 2 Veiler. I cut the third one for Harpy's Feather Duster. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude. It feels so good after, like, what's it been, like, 15 years of this card being banned? Like, playing Trad, like, 4 years ago, I resolved this once, and it was so good. It feels so good to play this again. And it gave me an interesting thought, is that, like, power creep in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so ridiculous that a one-sided Heavy Storm, or one-sided Regeki for back row, is better, or excuse me, worse, than Heavy Storm, which is a two-sided, is a Dark Hole for back row. I don't know, dude, that just comes up wild to me. I think Heavy is low-key better than this, because it's like, what really is going on right now that you want blown up on your turns? Like, not really waking the dragon, maybe Scythe, I guess? No, not Scythe, because that has a trigger on your opponent's turn. True Draco cards? Like, come on, fam. I don't know. You know what? I'm not gonna question it. I love this card, and I'm so glad to be playing it again. Triple Cosmic. So you play this against Eldritch. Well, before Harpy's Feather Dog, other than Harpy's Feather Duster, obviously. But this deals with the cards permanently. You can also chain it to their stuff so that they don't have, or they won't resolve their stuff, which is really nice. Triple Forbidden Chalice. Hey, listen. Remember how I said I can't afford Dogmatica stuff? What makes you think I could afford Triple Tactics Talent or fucking, like, Droplets? Like, it's like, but, you know, this is basically, but, like, if I had Droplets, I would cut this for Droplets. Let's just say that. But this still has its place in the deck. Like I said in the previous episode, or the previous deck profile, it outs Dweller on your opponent's turn, or on your turn. Unlike Imperm, which you have to either shotgun and then they chain it, or they wait for you to have a card, then they chain it. This deals with it regardless. And it's also using the Bolden Damage Step, which comes up sometimes, but, you know, of course, Chalice is just straight up better. And then the most broken card in the side deck, Super Polymerization. This makes you auto-win against Eldritch, and you can go crazy against the other combo decks in the format. So, yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed. The deck is still kind of being tweaked as we're talking about it. The format has changed now that combo is still the best of the best, but Eldritch is taking on a different turn so that they're not completely reliant on the, at least as of now, we haven't seen any, like, big combos with Eldritch and the, like, you could probably do something crazy with Play Spreader, but I don't think anyone has found it at this point in time. But right now, yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. It's just control with Winda, and then recur stuff with Alistair, and then beat over stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm trying to be more and more involved in the comments, so if I have it set up now where I get push notifications, so whenever you guys post a comment, I can go in there. If you want to ask questions, I can answer them almost immediately. If not, I get back to you usually within the day. So if you guys want to talk about the deck, have any questions, suggest cards, I will be there to talk about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. Peace.